Okay, this is going to be a quick tutorial about a few different interesting things that you can do in Google Search Console. This is the typical opening screen of Google Search Console. You can also get there by typing in search.google.com/search-console. And this is the overview screen. Now, the screen that you'll typically want to go to, this is kind of a throwaway site that I haven't touched for a few years. So the screen you want to go to is search results right here under performance. So if this is nested, you may just need to unnest it over there on the menu on your left and click search results. Then this is going to give you all kinds of data. This screen is so much fun. You could spend hours in here. The first thing I want to show you is up here at the top. You have a lot of different options that you can select. I typically select all of them because they all give you a lot of really good information. So right now we're going site-wide on my old site, Dinner with the Rolos. Blue is telling us clicks to the site from Google. Up here you can see that we've selected the last 3 months. This is kind of typical, but you can look at a day. You can even come down and do a custom search, which is really useful if you have something going viral and you want to pull out that data. So if something went viral in March, you might search 3 months back starting in February. Or you can look at a whole year, anything you want. I'm just going to keep it on 3 months for now for simplicity's sake. You could also select search type, web, image, or video, depending on what you're trying to rank for. If you're just talking about your blog, typically just keep it to web to start with, because that's going to be the most valuable traffic that you can get is to your site. And then when you get a little bit more advanced and you have really, really amazing web traffic already, you can start working on the image and video things. So we can pull out of there. And I'll show you this new tab and what you can do with that here in a little bit, but let's move down to clicks. So this means that I've gotten 3,514 clicks from Google in the last 3 months to this particular website that we're working with. I've gotten 132,000 impressions in Google. So these impressions are going to be times where my website, a post from my website showed up as a result in Google search. Whether someone clicked on it or not, they came into contact with my brand and saw a URL that belongs to me in their search results. This is going to be your average click-through rate. Again, this is site-wide right now. So your click-through rate has to do with these two numbers, and it's giving you a nice little percentage so that you don't have to work out that math yourself. So from the number of impressions you've gotten, how many of those people clicked, on average 2.7% of people who see my content in Google from this site click through to it. And then this last one is super fun. It gives you your average position in Google for keywords that you rank on. So my average position is 22.9, which is not great. Then it shows you the same information in graph form. This was probably Easter, the day before Easter, so I got some nice traffic. But you can see the rest of it's kind of all over the place. So now if we scroll down, it's going to break down this same information by search term. So you can see query right here. So it's going to give us query. Then it will give us, actually, let me turn off keywords everywhere. I'm going to just refresh this page so that you can see it without any of my external tools. Okay, so now it's going to give you queries down here on the left. These are things, basically the keyword terms that people have used to find the site. So we can just start right here with Peruvian pesto. That has received 132 clicks. And again, this is going off of the last 3 months. So 132 people typed in Peruvian pesto and then selected a post on my site to click. It got 664 impressions. So my site was seen for the query Peruvian pesto 664 times. The click-through rate was amazing, 19%, and my position is 1.7. So this position is talking about where on the page in Google on average you'll see my site. So a 1.7 is really, really good. You want these to be in the 0 to 3 range. I guess a lot of people don't really talk about Peruvian pesto because I did not really optimize this at all. So this is in 1.7. So if we just open up a tab, Peruvian pesto, let's just see it in action. So this is another thing that Google Search Console will do if you're logged in on the Google account that you have Search Console in, is it will tell you, it will give you these little boxes. This is only visible to you. It tells you your position, it tells you the impressions, and it tells you the clicks for the last 28 days right there in your Google search, which is handy. But you can just scroll down, and then we can scroll and try to find. So right here, for me, it's showing up as number 4, but apparently for other people, it's showing up as high as number 1. So this post is a little bit all over the place, but it's at least there. This 5-star rating is probably helping. Let's see if it's in this. Yeah, so we're also in this nice little recipe index that Google will give to recipe bloggers sometimes. We're number 4 as well. So that's interesting. So you can kind of compare the results and just go and see exactly what you look like in that ranking. Sometimes you won't even be on the page. And like I said, Google results are kind of customized based on the user. So these positions are totally averages and not, it doesn't mean that for every person who Googles Peruvian pesto or whatever this term is that you'll be in that position for that person. It may not be even in that position for yourself. So you can scroll through and you can see all of these other things that the site is ranking for. This term got 102 clicks, 785 impressions, and you can just scroll through, kind of take in the information, see what there is to learn. Right now it's sorted by clicks from highest clicks to lowest clicks. You can switch that around from lowest to highest. Same with these. If you want to search by click-through rate, 100% click-through rate, I'm in position 1, but only got 1 impression, so these aren't that valuable. But you can play around with these and sort them in different ways. If you want to see everything that you're in position 1 for, you can scroll through that. A moment ago when I had the more bars here, what that is Keywords Everywhere, and that is a paid tool. It's very, very cheap though, so I recommend using it. If we turn it back on and refresh, it's going to give you 3 more bars here in Google Search Console, and that's going to be the volume. So this is the average number of people who are searching per month, the CPC, and the competition. Their competition numbers are kind of hard to interpret. If you're very new to this, just focus on the volume of how often people are searching for this. And you'll kind of see similar things reflected in the numbers. So you can see that this, I'm ranking number 1, but my impressions were only 664 because the volume is so low. Whereas this post, the slow cooker carne asada, my impressions were over 2,000, even though I'm in position 9, because the volume is so much higher at 1,600 a month. So this would be like if I was going to optimize this site, this would be one of the first things I worked on, because I am on page 1, but I'm too low to really see that reflected in Google Analytics. That's 50 page views over 3 months. That wouldn't even be a blip in Google Analytics. But this is really valuable because you can come in here and say, oh, wow, I'm on page 1. If I were to optimize this more, create more content around carne asada, if I were to update my meta description, put in better photos, add some headers, do all kinds of things to optimize, I could maybe move up to number 6. And then if people engage with my content and I get my click-through rate higher, maybe I can move up even to the top 3. So that's the information that you're getting here. Now, when we're talking about looking at these click-through rates, one of the things that you can do if you do have a post that you're ranking pretty well for, but you don't like the click-through rate, what you can do is go update, like this is a really good example. I've gotten 2,149 impressions on this post, only 42 clicks. That's a 2% click-through rate, and that's really, really, really low. So what that tells me is that if I search Easter brownies, that my photos are probably not good. Actually, I can tell you for sure that my photos are not good on that post. My meta description is probably not great, and my title is not great. And so if I were to update those 3 things, I could convert some of these impressions into clicks, because right now a 2% conversion rate, which is what this is telling me, click-through rate, CTR, is not good. That's a poor number. So let's just look at Easter brownies just for the kick of it, and we can see how terrible my result is. So see how gorgeous all of these are? They look amazing. And then when we scroll down to mine, they are not as amazing. I may be on page 2. I'm not even appearing at this point. Oh, here are mine. Okay, so this is just not, it looks like a thing of Peeps. I need like a good gooey finished shot of a brownie. I could remove my title here altogether. This meta description is just the first sentence of my blog post. It should be like the most delicious Easter brownies that you've ever had, made with Peeps and, whatever. I'm making that up off the top of my head, so not a great description. Anyway, if I updated all these things, updated the photo in the recipe card, updated the meta description, and updated this title, which this does not mean that I need to update my H1. It just means that I need to go into Yoast and update the Yoast blog post title, because that's what Google's going to pull here. If I did all of those things, then what I could do, I'm going to just click on this. What I could do is, I'm trying to get this click-through rate up, so I would come up and I would inspect this URL. I'm back in Search Console, and I can paste that URL in here, and it's going to retrieve the data that I have already in Google for this post. So this is what it should look like. This is all correct. If it says URL is on Google, submitted an index, the page is mobile friendly, you want 3 green checks right here. If you don't see 3 green checks, then you need to drop down and look at what it's telling you. Sometimes there will just be things like, if it's yellow, it'll just say something like, it could be better if you did this, but unless it's red, you're not in trouble with Google. The yellow things are usually just tips for improvement, but not something that you have to have done. For example, in a lot of recipe bloggers will run into yellow checks under coverage when they don't have, when their recipe cards have structured data for video, but they don't put video in the recipe card. And so Google's just saying like, hey, this says that you might have a video, but I don't see it. So things like that can happen. So check on the yellow, see if there's anything you can update. If it's red, you really need to get somebody to help you. Green is what you're looking for. So after you've updated your meta description and everything in Yoast, you could come in right here. This is through Inspect again, and then click Request Indexing. And I'm not going to do that right now because I haven't actually updated this post. But when you click Request Indexing right here, what that does is it will go and tell Google to refetch your page. Recall everything. I've changed something. I've updated something important. Come in and look at my page again, because otherwise it could be a week or two before Google comes in and does that and relooks at your page, because they're constantly crawling your page. It's just when they might come to that specific one. So if you're really wanting to test something like improving your click-through rate on a specific post, you want to go ahead and push Google to do that now. So when you click this, a little pop-up will come up and it'll say, waiting, you're being submitted. And then you have to just stay on this screen. It should take less than 30 seconds. And then it will tell you you've been added to a priority crawl list, and don't resubmit it. It'll happen in Google's time, essentially. So that's how you resubmit after you've made changes. I want to show you one last thing in search results before we go, and that is if you have a specific post or keyword that you want to look into. So if I was trying to optimize this same Easter brownies post, I could again copy that URL, and I could come over here to new, and this is going to be me saying, what does Google know about this post and what am I ranking for right now? So if I clicked new and then clicked page up here from this menu, URLs containing, just paste in the full URL and click apply. Now this is telling me the same information I had earlier site-wide, but about this specific blog post. So I got 126 total clicks on this blog post, 3,000 impressions, an average click-through rate of 3.6%, and an average position of 13.4. Now this is for all queries coming into Google that this specific blog post ranks for. So that includes the Easter brownies query we looked at earlier, and it also includes everything else. So now we can scroll and see things like Easter brownies, Peeps brownies, Easter brownies with Peeps, misspelling of Easter brownies, baked Peeps, all of these things. And this would tell me, if I was optimizing the post, some of the things that I might want to optimize for. It looks like I had been working on Peep brownies before, or brownies with Peeps. and that was a good idea, but I might find something like baked peeps. I probably didn't use that in my post at all, and so I might want to make sure that I use the term baked peeps. So this is a place where you can find some good headings and get some information about what your post is already ranking for and what Google sees it as valuable on. The other thing you can do, and this has pages, so you can scroll through multiple pages, and the same as before, you can search by clicks, by click-throughs, click-through rate, and position. And so the other thing that you can do up here, I'm going to X out of the by URL search, click new again, and you can go to specific query. And so this is if you wanted to say, I really want my dinner post to rank better, I'm going to type in dinner as my query containing, and it's going to show me every query that includes the word dinner that brings people to my site. So you can see things like spinach dinner recipes, easy family weeknight dinners, easy family dinners. You can see this is not something I would try to rank this site for because I've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4 clicks that have anything to do with the word dinner in the last 3 months. So that's terrible. But if you had like specific queries in mind, or you are wanting to write a new post, you can come in here and see what does Google already think that I know about this topic? What does Google think my authority on this topic is? If I tried something like Instant Pot, I might see better results. Not great. The site used to be great on Instant Pot. It's not anymore. But you can look through things like this, and then as well, if you're here, if I want to say Instant Pot dump recipes, which post is ranking for that? I don't know. Let's click it, and it will tell me the posts. And if there's more than one post ranking for Instant Pot dump recipes, they'll all be listed here, and you can just go over to pages and see, okay, there's 2 blog posts that I have that sometimes are somewhere on the page for Instant Pot dump recipes. There's the traditional Instant Pot dump recipe, and then there's the chicken dinner Instant Pot. Only one of these has gotten clicks, so if I was wanting to optimize for that keyword phrase, I would optimize this post versus this one, even though it's shown up from time to time. This might just tell me that when I optimize this post for the keyword phrase Instant Pot dump recipes, I want to make sure that this post backlinks to it, because Google apparently thinks that it has something similar enough to do with it that it's occasionally in position 24. Okay, so those are a few fun things you can do in Search Console. There's a lot in here, so I may record some other videos in the future showing how to do other Search Console little tricks and things that you can see in here, because they give you a lot of information, and Search Console is a free tool from Google, and so it can be really, really valuable and something that you don't have to pay for to grow your business.